And we are officially live here, and we're actually joined by Ethan Skolnick today. So he actually has some words to say. I will leave it to you right off the bat, sir.
Yeah, well, you're the host of this program, so I'm going to throw it right back to you. What is that? You know, Manny needs more than 6 memes, okay? That's all I got to say. I'm buying you some
gotta
new
get some new ones.
New Year's.
We need to get Manny some new memes. All right.
This is the Yard Prep Show. All these guys, Louis Sung, Kai, Alfredo,
Michael and Juan.
All these guys. I'm going to feed the stage to them. I think the Dolphins win tonight. And Juan. I just say Juan. I said Juan. That was the fourth one I said. So anyway, I'm sorry, I'm skipping a little because I typically do that. But yes, I like the Dolphins today. I just took them at MyBookieBet. So go to mybookie.ag. They're giving 3 points. Use the code 5 on the floor or 3 yards. Spell them out and take the Dolphins tonight and give the 3. I think my bet on Tampa -10 went okay today, so I think I covered that for 3 minutes. But nice. I did want to introduce a couple of things here. We have T-shirts at 5reasonsports.com. I'm not taking this one out, but this is the Tropical Storm shirt. You can kind of see it in there. See, it's in the package. I get these at my apartment. So the Tropical Storm shirt. We now have 10 Dolphin shirts on the site. So if everybody was complaining, too many Heat shirts. We've got, I think, 6 Tua shirts, including the franchise shirt, which basically pays for Houtz's kids' food. So make sure you check that one out. And, of course, the original Tua 2020, which we're considering pulling off the site in 4 days because it's no longer 2020. So if you want that, get that one now. We've got the X shirt, the Weapon X shirt. That's the new one, the Tropical Storm shirt. I'm going to get shirts for all these guys that are on the show. So in January, I can get my samples again. So check out the shirts of the site. Also, I mentioned MyBookie, prizepicks.com. It's a cool new daily fantasy game. Use the code 5. Go over on Tua tonight. Otherwise, I like the Dolphins by a touchdown. And that's it. Louis, your show. I'm going to promote.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you, Ethan, for joining us really quickly. It was always a pleasure to have the face of the franchise.
That's a great face of the franchise right there. I like that one.
I don't want that face of the franchise. That face of the franchise looks confused. It looks like Joe Philbin after somebody didn't pick up the gum wrappers on the practice field. It's like, what happened? I thought we established this. But anyway, so yes, welcome to Yard Prep. And yes, prizepicks.com. You can go there right now and use the promo code 5 to go ahead and get up to $100 on your deposit. And there's going to be a lot of prize picking tonight because we are facing off against the Oakland Raiders. I almost refuse to call them Las Vegas Raiders. They're the Oakland Raiders, as far as I'm concerned. But that's just me.
Well, they used to be the Los Angeles Raiders too.
Yeah, but they were never Vegas. Like Vegas, talk about Vegas getting a football team. Like you always know what the bet's going to be with them because they're in the betting world. Like. So I'm almost wondering what are the numbers? Is anybody keeping track of that stuff? What are the numbers on the Vegas Raiders winning this game exactly? Like what are the odds for everything?
Well, they're a 3-point underdog, and I believe it's plus 165, something like that. So they're a pretty good underdog.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's in their own backyard. So even the fact that they are considered an underdog at all should say something. So I digress. So here we are. It is week 16 of the season, and we're this close to seeing if the Dolphins will or won't make it to the playoffs. Right now, we are dealing with some inactive stuff happening with the Miami Dolphins. They are currently going with no Devontae Parker, but everybody else is back, at least on the position, the skill players. So we have Mike Gesicki, who is back, which is a shock, honestly. Jakeem Grant is back, which, according to Kai, is not a good thing, but I think it's a good thing.
Not just me and Juan. Whoa. And Juan.
Me too.
Yeah. Don't just
yes, I'm clear. If Jakeem Grant ever comes on any of our shows, only I get to interview him because you all talk crap about him.
I remember when I interviewed Jakeem way back when, and I asked him about the curse of number 19, and he said he was going to break it. So, but anyway, all I'm gonna say is it's better to have Grant out there than it is to not have him out there because if nothing else, he's going to command somebody to go over the top. So there is that, just because he's fast. So
and it looks like we have Eric Flowers back too as well,
which is good because we don't have Solomon Kindley.
Exactly.
Yeah, he gets to step in right away, and then you really don't have any changes from last week, from that great offensive line performance from last week, except, Eric Flowers steps in. So that's a good thing to have for now.
Yeah.
That's a good
And we
thing.
also get Malcolm.
That's depth. That's what depth
Yep.
is all about, is having guys who can immediately step in, and there's barely any, if at all. In fact,
Drop
some
off.
would argue that Flowers is technically an upgrade at left guard. I don't know if I would go that far, but
Right.
just because I've seen Kinley seems to be doing very well at left guard, which does beg the question of, should Eric Flowers be on the trade block in next season's off season? What could we get for a guard who is currently going off his second really good season and is on year 2 of his contract? Like, I can't help but wonder if there's something to be had as far as value goes. If Kinley continues to develop, we can always grab another right guard and let Kinley stay at left guard. Just some random thought.
But isn't 2020 a weird enough year that we're talking about having excess talent at the offensive line with the Miami Dolphins? Like,
Insane.
I never thought we'd be here.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say that we have excess talent yet. It's a random thought based on how well
It's
players
enough to
develop.
bring up
It's
that
something to
question.
explore, because if
Right.
somebody's willing to give, say, a third or a fourth for Kinley, I'd be like, okay, I'd think about it. Just because.
Well, and even Dieter didn't have a bad game when he played, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
he was able to
That's-
come in
that's
and
the
have
thing.
some pretty good pulls. So that was
Yep.
something that was nice to see, considering we were all pretty ready to get rid of Michael Dieter and think, oh,
We were
he's not going
saying,
to be any
like-
good on this team. He was pulling really well that one time he played. So
We were
Yeah,
saying
and Michael Dieter Michael Dieter was cross-trained in training camp at center and at right guard and at left guard. So that's a guy that they like for depth, because they could plug him into 3 positions, and they feel pretty good about that. So, they do. They just have depth. They actually do have depth on the offensive line.
Yep.
I would say that the only place where it gets a little iffy is if they lose a tackle. But then Jesse Davis had a good run at left tackle and right tackle. So they built this mix and match versatile offensive line, and that versatile offensive line has served them very well this year, because as far as the defense has been relatively healthy, but the offense has been a mess since like week 5 injury wise, and they've managed to plug and play.
Somebody briefly mentioned Preston Williams, who has disappeared off the face of the planet for all we know. Like, he got abducted by aliens somewhere down the lines, because we haven't heard his name. We haven't heard anybody ask about him. We haven't heard anything. So I don't know what you guys' thoughts are on the Preston Williams situation right now.
Obviously not going to bring him back. I mean, at least you're not thinking they're going to, unless somehow, like I think originally wasn't he put on the short-term IR originally, or am I just crazy? I swear that originally he was put on short-term IR, like the 3-week or whatever they were doing, and then he was supposed to come back, and we just been silent, literally nothing at all.
Yeah, he was put on the 3-week IR, but then when his time was up, nobody really said a word about it. And we talked about it on the podcast where, for all we know, Preston Williams is no longer alive. They're just not telling us,
Yeah.
Because, we don't know what his injury was. Nobody knows what his injury was. As it turns out, maybe it was, like, we'll have to speculate because nobody knows. Maybe it was a bad plantar fasciitis. It could have been something like that, maybe something like that, because something like that can keep you out 6 to 8 weeks. And maybe they didn't like him when he came back from it, and he's just basically out for the year. But it's interesting that he had a foot injury and nobody really knows what it was.
Nothing
Yeah, and
at
then
all.
we cut Callaway too, so it makes it even weirder, because it's less wide receiver depth. that we
Did you
have.
mention Callaway just to make Kai cry?
I just wanted to see his reaction just a little bit.
It's okay.
I'm not gonna lie. I message Kai the name Callaway once every 2 weeks, once every 2 days, just to watch him cry, just to see the reactions.
And we also welcome Jakari to the show. Welcome back to the show. It's been a while since you've been on, my friend.
Yeah, man, I've been busy with this coaching fiasco, coaching high school football. So I'm back now. Got some free time, so I'm here to cover the Canes, Dolphins. You know how it goes.
So what are your thoughts? Actually, let's talk about that. So Antonio Callaway being cut, I mean, not everybody was all that surprised, and at the same time we were. It was kind of like an on and off. It was like, oh, okay, we cut him. He didn't do anything while he was here, but we thought he would. So what are your thoughts on the Antonio Callaway situation? What happened, or I should say, what didn't happen?
From what I heard he was late to practice, if I'm not mistaken. From the sources that I heard, but
well, we know how
it's
Belichick
just,
disciples feel about that.
it was just, something, a guy who had a short leash already, and then he just, he burnt his leash, similar to Antonio Brown in Tampa. Bruce Arians had made it very clear that if he complained one time, he was gone. So it's just similar to Callaway. They probably laid some ground rules out for him, and he probably broke those ground rules. But I did feel like he can be a contributor on the offense, especially with all the injuries lately. But things happen, but I guess Mac Hollins is going to have to step up tonight. I do see him as a bona fide tight end because he really can't move that well outside that receiver. So, and I'm a proponent of that. I think any bigger receiver, if they don't have the routes, just move the tight end. There's nothing wrong with it. Darren Waller has gotten Kyle Pitts, is going to get Kyle Pitts paid a lot of money now. Just because he made the move from receiver to tight end it's not an issue with it. You just can't beat corners. It's okay. You can go beat some linebackers and safeties. It's not wrong.
And there's a flip side to that coin, and we talked about it on the podcast. Part of the reason why they were so good last week on the ground is because Matt Collins is a really good blocker, and the guys that they had out there at receiver were good blockers. So those are guys that are going to get some run, especially in this running game. So yeah, I agree with Jakari. Matt Collins is a really good poor man's version of Mike Gesicki because he actually can block better.
Yeah, but now speaking of Gesicki, now we have him back, and how does that play in with the rotation with Smythe and Shaheen?
Well, Gesicki's just a bona fide receiver, though. He lines most of his snaps at slot, so I don't really see him cutting in.
Yeah, he plays slot and wide ISO, so he's going to be fine.
Yeah,
I honestly want him to sit. Like he's active, fine.
It's crazy that he's even back in the first place, but no.
We need him for Buffalo, man. I don't want him getting another hit like that.
No. You can't sit him just because of the stake. The stakes are too high right now. This is essentially a win or go home game for Miami. Miami loses this game.
It's a win game. It's a win. Yep. It's a win. It's a win.
If they lose this game, essentially, I think they're out of the playoffs because I just think the Ravens have a favorable schedule down the stretch, and they're gonna win their last two games.
That's not wrong. That's
look,
accurate.
Well, you never know because not that anyone is I personally I'm not a fan of the Steelers, at least in terms of this season. But hey, they lost to the Bengals. You never know what could happen in Week 17 for the Ravens. But this is a win or go home game. It is what it is.
I don't think the Ravens will lose the rest of the year just because they're just clicking at the right time. But I do think this is a win or go home game for Miami. I think Miami wins this game pretty easily, by the way, just because the type of defense Miami plays with all the pressure looks, and Derek Carr is not really a quarterback who adjusts to pressure well. Anytime he gets blitzed, he starts to turn the ball over a lot. So I just feel like Miami will not run away with the game, but I feel like Miami will pull away from these guys. Only thing that scares me is Josh Jacobs, to be honest. If the running game does get going, that does give Miami problems down the stretch.
Yeah, and Josh Jacobs he's been nursing a knee injury for weeks now, and it turns out he's going to play. So that says something about him. But yeah, I'm not for sitting anybody unless you're really, really injured. They're trying to build a culture that these games really matter. The way you get big game experience is actually playing in these games, and sitting out because because you can afford to sit somebody out. And I believe that's kind of what they did last week against the Patriots. I'm not for that.
What they're doing with Parker today.
Do you feel like what's running back you guys feel like is going to have the biggest game today?
Ahmed. Yeah.
No,
I think Savon Ahmed has built up a lot of goodwill. I think.
I think they go the Patriots approach, and then whoever gets hot to get the ball.
Even with Gaskins back, you guys don't feel like he's gonna take some.
I think I actually agree. I'm gonna say Gaskin, but I think Gaskin just because Ahmed doesn't pass block super well. Right, so you have to be aware of that. And the Raiders don't have a great pass rush. Yeah, they don't have a great pass rush. The Raiders don't. Right, there's nobody that really fears me in terms of they're going to get after Tua. But I don't want a running back there who's going to lose a push off against the cornerback after one shove, and he's right into Tua. Right, so I think for that reason, Gaston's going to get a decent amount of run.
He just stood in his way and be like, "Can you get past me?"
That's what I'm saying. Like he didn't do anything. He just let him by. It's like, Ahmed, you got to step up a little bit.
I think that's kind of overreacting, just because you have predominantly third down running backs who don't pass block in the NFL. It's only really legitimately 2 or 3 good pass blocking backs in the league. Ezekiel Elliott is one. Josh Jacobs is pretty good in pass protection. So pass protection.
Sure, but Breida and Gaskin are better than Ahmed.
But I don't see it. But he runs the ball better than though. He's been the most effective runner. And it's kind of a coincidence that him and Gaskins was together at Washington. So it's like, but Gaskins
backup too.
But Ahmed is just more explosive than Gaskins, to be honest. But Gaskins is a really good player. I love his game. Miami still needs to get a running back in the offseason, but I think Gaskins can be a great number 2 back in general.
But if we're going by explosiveness too, Breida's more explosive than those other two because Breida's got the speed to burn them. It's just Breida hasn't broken one. So if we're looking for explosive plays, then Breida too should get in some run. I liked Breida last week, so I'm fine with Gaskin getting the third line of the run.
And he's gotten looks all year. Matt Breida's gotten looks all year, and he's gotten some looks in the passing game. They just haven't hooked up yet. Although he did draw a pass interference penalty a few weeks ago. I forgot again. Oh, it was against the Chargers. He drew a pass interference penalty on a wheel route. So, yeah, I'd like to see him get more opportunities in the pass game because that's where, if he does that, then it adds another dimension to the Dolphins' offense. Because it seems like I don't think it was a one-off what they did against the Patriots. I think that's how they want to play the rest of the year.
That's how Flores wants to play. That's how Flores wants to go into every game. He wants to dominate you on the line of scrimmage, get you down early, get a lead, put his defense out there, 3rd and longs, and just attack the quarterback. That's really what his strategy is. I personally I feel like they're gonna run more.
Fourth or fifth.
That's Lewis's best. That's Lewis's best friend right there.
Hey, listen. Every time he gets the football, something happens. That's good usually. Okay, like the one fumble is a one.
He should have had that first down on that 3rd down though. He should have had. He could have at least reached it out.
I'm not a proponent of. I don't like him. Not that I don't like him. I just don't think he doesn't really fit into what the Dolphins need at running back at the moment.
He's our Rex Burkhead. You gotta remember, this is the Patriots style running back room. They want a specific player for each role.
But the thing is, people.
Why'd you say Rex Burkhead?
No, but people don't understand how good Rex Burkhead is.
Oh, he's a beast. He can catch. He can run.
And how explosive he is as well. He runs way harder than Patrick Laird has ran.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to go back to the defensive side of the ball. So this is something that Twitter was debating. It wasn't much of a debate, really. It's just a few choice people who are like, well, Derek Carr is the starter for a reason. But I honestly feel a lot more comfortable dealing with a Derek Carr who was probably walking like a penguin after the game where he pulled his groin than a Marcus Mariota who can, at the drop of a hat, drop 100 yards rushing on you. So I feel personally that I would rather face Carr rather than Marcus Mariota. So I don't know if you guys believe me or not. And no, I didn't say anything about Micah Parsons today. We'll talk about that during postgame. But anyway, exactly.
Yeah, I think there's a reason Marcus Mariota is not a starter in this league and lost his job to Ryan Tannehill and essentially couldn't supplant Derek Carr. Marcus Mariota will eventually blow himself up if you give him enough time to do it. Okay. As far as him running the ball, I think the Dolphins have turned a corner on some of those things. They figured out, some things to do defensive wise to keep running quarterbacks inside the pocket. And if they would have done that to Marcus Mariota, he would have been a turnover machine in this game. So, yeah, Derek Carr, they can get to Derek Carr, but, we feel good about either quarterback because the Dolphin defense is really good. It's just simple as that, they're not a middling defense where you're like, you know what? If we could get this matchup and that matchup and this matchup, we could do okay. No, the Dolphins are a legitimate top 3 defense. Just go out and smash the Raiders. You're better than them. Go beat them. So I think Derek Carr, if they could keep Derek Carr in 3rd and long, it's going to be a long day for them. And he can't give us like 4 today if we keep him in 3rd and long all game.
Oh, so I wasn't suggesting that the Dolphins defense couldn't handle either guy. The issue was what is the weakness of the defense more? Guys who can run or guys who sit in the pocket? And in that regard, I said I would rather face Carr rather than Mariota just because Mariota is a runner and we know how Miami doesn't like runners.
Yeah, Mariota would hurt the Dolphins more just because the Dolphins play so much man coverage. So with Mariota, with all the guys backs turned to the quarterback, Mariota could have hurt Miami a lot. more than Derek Carr can. Obviously, that's part of the reason why Miami struggles against running quarterbacks because they play man coverage. Similar to the Patriots, similar to the Ravens. That's why Mahomes kills them all the time because he can create. But I think Mariota would have created more of the problem. But I do think that Derek Carr is the better quarterback passing wise. So I feel like they have a better chance. My biggest threat to the biggest person that we have to stop tonight, and I think they're going to double team is Darren Waller. I think Waller's the key to the game. You have to take him out of the game because he's an effective tight end. But I do see the Dolphins double teaming him because I don't think Eric Rowe can cover him one-on-one. I mean, I don't think any safety or linebacker can cover him one-on-one regardless. But I think they're going to double team him tonight and take him out of the game.
Well,
yeah, I think the Raiders do something really interesting with Waller is that they play him a lot in line, and that actually helps the Dolphins coverage wise. So so I think that the Raiders like to disguise what they're gonna do by playing him in line and then throwing him the ball. So that's actually gonna play into the Dolphins' hands coverage wise.
Yep, we'll bump him with an end or a linebacker before he even gets to Eric Rowe, and I think Eric Rowe will be okay. Even the Kelce game, like Kelce got him way more than we would have liked. But at least he was
Travis Kelce.
No, right, but at least he was there with Kelce, right? Like Kelce didn't really get away from him and break these long runs. Like he was there to tackle him at the very least. Kelsey's a step below Waller, so I think that Eric Rowe can handle it.
Waller's more explosive than Kelly, though.
I'd have to see it. I'd have to see it. I want to see it against Eric Rowe. I think that'll be a good barometer to compare the two.
No, well, Kelsey's the best tight end in football, but Darren Waller is going to present problems just because of how they use him. And he's a big receiver. Like Kelsey's a true tight end. He doesn't block, but Waller at least blocks. But Waller's a former receiver. I think he ran something like 4.4 at a combine or something like that. He can really run at tight end.
All right, so let's go ahead and get ready to get this show wrapped up. We're about almost into the half-hour mark, and then we've got to get ourselves ready for the in-game stream, which will be a separate link for those of you who are watching. They've got like 127 right now, so that's awesome. So this will be a separate link, and we will be talking during commercials and during halftime, and then there will be another separate link for the post-game show, I believe. Yes. So just letting you guys know ahead of time. So let's go ahead and start to wrap this thing up. So we're going to ask about what is the one thing that needs to happen for the Dolphins if they were going to win this game, and then make the pick on whether are they going to win or not, and what's the score. I'm going to start with you, Kai. What does Miami need to do to win this game? Do they win, and what's the score?
They absolutely win, put themselves into a must-win position next week. Not only they're obviously already in a must-win position, but put themselves into a must-win position next week against the Bills. Yes, I think they win. I would say like 27-17, something along those lines. In terms of what they need to do, I would love to see more of running the ball. Again, not having Devontae Parker, but Mike Gesicki coming back is great. But we'll love to continue to see us run the ball, especially with Stephon Ahmed. Now you get Myles Gaskin back. Being able to stop the run, even with Josh Jacobs nursing an injury, that would be great. And then being able to stop Darren Waller, not letting guys like Henry Ruggs be able to maybe have a chance, even though he has had some cases of dropsies, but, not letting that stuff happen, making sure Darren Waller can be as out of the game as you possibly can, and just forcing Derek Carr to be Derek Carr, essentially. Make mistakes when he does and make us get back onto the road and onto next week.
All right, so 27-17 for Kai. Alfredo, what does Miami need to do to win this game, and what's the score? Do they win?
Well, I think they got to just adjust to whatever Rob Marinelli is going to do because, he's the new defensive coordinator there. He is a competent guy, okay? He's not, he's not a complete clown. He doesn't have much to work with today. So you got to see, you got to adjust quickly to what he was doing. They were talking about that before the game. A lot of the receivers and Tua Tagovailoa were on the field, and they were going over the play sheet, and that they were talking about, and they were walking the field, which kind of tells me that they were talking about what they were going to do in certain situations down and distance against this defense. So just diagnose it quickly. Don't take a half to finally get rolling. Get out to a quick start, get a touchdown in the first quarter, and just play it from there. And I think that they will. I think they'll control this game because they have the horses and the Raiders don't. Okay, it's just as simple as that. And one team is arrow up and the other team is arrow down right now. So I say the Dolphins take care of it, and I almost want to Price is Right Kai here and go 27-16. How do you like that?
One quick note to remember as well, like with the Raiders, is that as you said, Alf, like they're on the trend down. I mean, the refs and the Chargers did everything possible to give the Raiders the game last week, and the Raiders couldn't capitalize. I mean, they did literally everything possible to give them the win, and they just threw it away.
All right, Jakari, you're up. Do they win? What do they need to do? And what's the score?
Well, first they have to create pressure. If they get pressure on Derek Carr, this game won't be close. But given the Raiders' offense, you have to get them a fighting chance because their offense is pretty decent. They're not bad on offensively. But I just want to see the Dolphins take control, like Alf said. But I also just want to see them get pressure. I know that zero look is going to give Derek Carr problems just because the pressure. He will turn the ball over if he's getting pressured a lot. So I do see a turnover or two happening tonight. I don't know who gets the turnover. Probably Xavier Howard gets one tonight.
Safe bet.
Brian Jones might get a chance, but I just need to see them create pressure, and that's and continue what you did last week, running the football, because this is a defense where you can pick your shots with them. They're not healthy. New defensive coordinator. The scheme is very vanilla right now. So I just think Tua's going to have his way tonight. I'm predicting a 300-yard plus passing game, 3 touchdowns. And I see Miami winning 31-17.
Woo! High scoring game for the Dolphins from Jakari. All right. Yep. Michael, what do they need to do? Do they win? What's the score?
Yeah, so I'm just going to go with the one key here. Jakari kind of hit on it. We talked about it on the episode that we had this week of the Extra Yard. Keeping the running game going, right? You're not going to do 250 yards again. If you do, that's awesome. I just don't see it happening again. But if you can get us a good 130, 140, right, which is higher than our average, is really respectable for the NFL. I think that's the biggest key. We got to do that to keep this offense respectful and keep defenses kind of in the box a little bit. But I think we do that tonight. I think the passing game is also working tonight. And I think defensively, we're just going to do a lot to kind of keep the Raiders in check. So I'm actually going big score as well. I'm going 28 Dolphins, 10 Raiders.
Okay, and we'll finish off with you, Juan.
Yeah, just to kind of double down on what Alfredo was saying, I think the biggest key for this game is going to be getting an early lead, just because after that you can kind of build everything off of that. If we have an early lead, we'll be running the ball heavily. We'll need at least 125 rushing yards. I don't think 250 every game is doable, but I feel like half of that will get us a W. And also winning the turnover battle. Once we start winning the turnover battle, we'll definitely be able to hold Jacobs down to, I believe, and I want under 120 yards total. And if all those things come true, I feel like we'll be winning 33-27 total.
All right, and my predictions for this game, defense has to continue to dominate. More than anything else, Miami has managed to win without a running game in the past. Miami has not been able to win when the defense is less than stellar. So I think that the Dolphins will continue to remain stellar because Jakari said that the Raiders defense, the Raiders offense is better than we give them credit for. That may be true, but if we can get that pressure, which I believe they will, because that zero defense with the amoeba, that's going to give Derek Carr issues. He's going to end up getting some pressure, and give credit to Emmanuel Ogbah because it hasn't all been blitzing lately. He's still getting to the QB even without that extra help. So give him some kudos on that one. So I think the Miami's going to win this game. I think the defense will score a touchdown. I think Xavier Howard will get another interception because he should have had one last week.
There we go.
That's what we need.
I think he's going to get an interception. He should have had one last week, but thank you, Kyle Van Noy, for getting in the way, but whatever. And I think Miami wins this game, and they're going to win by a score of 30-20. And
it's also going to be really important to see, who steps in for Shaq Lawson today, especially against a team that likes to run the football. So
my guess is going to be either
Van Ginkel,
I think it might be Zach Sealer. We actually saw him line up a little further outside lately.
I think,
and I think Van Ginkel on the passing downs.
I think you're gonna see more Christian Wilkins and Davis tonight. Just Siler, Wilkins, Davis, a combination of something like that on the edges.
And we'll probably get more Van Ginkel today.
Correct.
Just to rush the passer a little bit more.
Four of us went huge, and 2 of us went kind of close. Lewis and Juan, you guys went pretty close there.
I did. I still went huge. I did both. I did 30 to 20.
The only reason why I went the score I went is just because the Raiders are reeling. The Dolphins have the edge in the coaching department. They have the guys. The Raiders are a reeling team. Coaching staff not good. Just fired the defensive coordinator. They're hurt. Just don't see it happening tonight. I just see Miami just taking control early and just blowing them away.
All right, then. And mind you, again, that's without Devontae Parker. So I think that I am predicting also that Parker will be back for the Bills game. I really think that this is more to do with controlling the situation. This is all gamesmanship. This gamesmanship. We thought Gesicki was supposed to be last week based on reports, and then Gesicki was a scratch. Parker, this, Parker, that. I think he's being held out for his own good and also for the team's own good for the future. I think Miami is confident they can beat the Raiders without Parker, and then we can have him when we actually need him. And that's why I say when they actually need him, because even if they win today, next week is also a must win, and also that game is going to be a lot tougher than these Raiders, because Buffalo, you can't even.
It depends on what happens this week, because Buffalo cannot have nothing to play for next week.
Even with their backup, I think Buffalo is tougher than the Raiders.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. That's going to be it for our pregame show. Thank you for joining us for this yard prep. And we will be having our in-game stream tonight. Look out for the link on that. You will be able to join us in between commercials in case you don't want to, you just want to mute the commercials and don't want to listen to them blather on about some Bud Light cardboard cutout commercials or saving 50% or more on Geico or something along those lines. So we'll be there for you, and then we'll have a post-game show on another new link, and you guys can look out for that as well. Once again, this show was brought to you by Prize Picks. You still have time to go there right now, and you can get up to $100 on match on your deposit.
Two over.
Jakari's saying Jakari's predicting go over on Tua. So if you guys want to take Jakari's advice and jump on that, you can go do that right now. Use the promo code 5. That's FIVE. Go to prizepicks.com and get started today. So thank you all so much for joining us for this broadcast. We'll be right back in about half an hour or so with our in-game streaming.